Yeah.
All right. So we go with the Maharashtra, the state analysis. So Maharashtra, first let us get some interesting facts about the state, right? So this is a state that has given Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. So and then it gave the Rani of Jhansi, 𝗤𝗚𝗏𝗿 𝗜𝗂𝘀. The Sangh headquarters, the RSS headquarters is in Maharashtra. Swatantra Veer Savarkar. I mean, you name it, this is just a small sample. Like who is born in Maharashtra? And what is interesting is BJP has never formed a government there. In this entire history of Maharashtra, BJP never formed a government in Maharashtra by itself. Basically, it has to be an alliance with somebody and it has to take support and all of those things. But you see here, you have 145 seats needed to form the majority and it never ever got it. Yes, it formed alliance, it took support, but this is a state. See, every state is very unique with its own challenges and problems that we need to understand. So in Maharashtra, we have really very dear patriots and who are aligned with the ideology of whether it's a Hinduism or the civilizational ethos. People are very deeply aligned. In fact, you could say that Maharashtra is filled with heroes. And the problem is when everybody is a hero, nobody is. This is a classic example of Maharashtra is like what Bharat was in the past. You have so many patriotic groups and none of the groups actually talk to each other and they never formed a government. So they were never aligned. Now, who can say the Shiv Sena, 𝗤𝗚𝗏𝗍𝙗 𝗂𝘂𝘁 was, they used to call him Hindu Hriday Samrat, right? Very dearly loved. Obviously, his Karyakartas are absolutely patriotic. No doubt about that. NCP, for example, NCP was split because they talked about the Maratha pride and they did not want to support Sonia ji becoming the prime minister. So one of three people who said no in the NCP is Sharad Pawar ji is one of them. So there is no dearth of the patriotism or the civilizational ethos. You have everything in Maharashtra, right? When you have so many heroes, the problem is putting them together in one group because then nobody is a hero. As you see here, it's all spread all the time. This is exactly what we had in the past. I would say solving Maharashtra is like solving and understanding the problem we had centuries ago in Bharat. Obviously, centuries ago, there were a lot of kingdoms who are very pro, the Hindu and dharmic ideas. But what happened? They never formed, they could never get together. Maharashtra is one example. So how do we solve this problem? We have seen that in assembly elections, they need 145. The BJP, we have the Sangh headquarters, Veer Savarkar, the country went through inflecting point 2 times in its history in the last 1,000 years, where we had an existential crisis. The first time was Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, he came in and he pulled us out. The second time was basically the formation of Sangh, Dr. 𝗤𝙑 𝗏𝗂𝘀. Right? These are the 2 inflecting points. Why they are, I think you can look at the history. All of these come from Maharashtra. But no BJP. Why is that? It's because you look at the numbers, there is a gradual growth, 12%, 14%, and eventually at this point, there's a big jump. What really happened there? Look at this, the Shiv Sena, NCP, Maharashtra has a streak of having very high number of independents. Remember when I said Maharashtra is full of heroes? And when there are so many heroes, if with all the heroes, then nobody is a hero, which means nobody really gets anything done, right? It has a streak of extremely high number of independents. In 95, they had 23% of them. 45 seats went to independents. And we still have about 10%, is one of the largest in any states. So what did NCP do is basically when they split from Congress, they simply consolidated all the independents over here. And in 99, this is when the NCP was formed, right? The first election after NCP was formed. They got 58 seats. You see, they cut them to size. And of course, they pulled off a little bit from Congress and all of that. Until then, the Shiv Sena, and nobody can deny that Shiv Sena is like a pro-dharmic and all of that with 𝗤𝗏𝗏𝗏 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. I myself was a very big fan of him. But like any other kingdom, right? A kingdom actually decays if you don't have the right leaders that follow up, right? And we do when you have one single king. That is the problem here. What is special about Vijayanagar Empire and Maratha Empire is that it is not one single king based. It actually added all the jatis and everyone for putting up a front. In fact, many in the Vijayanagar Empire were not their own children, right? They would pick the right leaders. And Maratha Empire, we know that the wars have been fought even without having a king sitting in one top saying this entire Maratha kingdom belongs to the king, right? So if you look at that, BJP in some sense is one force which actually does not depend on one king. It's a coalition of, it's actually getting everybody together. So it is the most stable one. It has a long-term prospects. But how are you going to deal with these little kingdoms who actually are very faithful to their king? Look at Shiv Sena. They talk about dharma, but what happened after 𝗣𝗚𝗅𝗍𝗍 𝗂𝘅𝗍 came in, and many of his ideas are completely diluted. In fact, 𝗣𝗚𝗅𝗍𝗍 said, I'll never align with Congress. And Uddhavji is actually a good partner of Congress and everybody else, right? So that's what happens when you have the kingdom and don't have a proper heir to it. So how do you break this? Same with the NCP was formed. Look at these numbers. So again, look at the Lok Sabha elections. Typically, you see that the numbers that you see here that a party got is very close in most cases to the percentage that they would traditionally get in the assembly election. Or it kind of shadows it with the growth and everything, right? There are some exceptions. BJP usually makes an exception because any little difference, the Lok Sabha is typically in April, May, and their assembly elections are in October. A lot of things change in between. Like, for example, you see in 2019, you saw 25%, BJP retained 27%. Why did the assembly, it went to 16% for Shiv Sena, 23% in Lok Sabha? Is because that is when you see there was a differences of opinions and things were actually slowly falling apart. And the elections happened in October. Obviously, a lot of things have been split. You can see there was a turmoil in the making. Again, now you look at NCP, it gained all the independents, right? In 95 to 99. What BJP did exactly the same thing in 2009 to 14. From 15%, this went to 7%. It's a lesson that they learned, and they said, let me take all these individual kings, the independents, and then get all of them into my fold. The numbers are high again. What will happen? How do you solve this problem? You see 16, this isn't changing. NCP isn't changing much either. The only way this problem can be solved, otherwise we can live this way to eternity. The only way this can be solved is if you break this kingdom. And that's exactly what was done. And this is the right approach. And I'm pretty sure some people in this group are going to get upset. In the Shiv Sena and NCP, some people will get upset. But this is politics. So let us not get emotional about these things. That just makes sense. And they would do the same.
One question, Mohan Garu. 2024 numbers for Lok Sabha. If you add Shiv Sena, the two factions, right, that is north of BJP. And they gained a fair amount of vote percentage, almost 6%. And they never had that higher number. How do you explain that?
It's because once the Shiv Sena was broken, now they had to sequester them somewhere else, right? Because each of the parties, and NCP is broken too. So you see the VBA and some of them that had like 7%, it went down. And the independence streak that BJP, the Maharashtra already has, and NCP went down by 2.5%. So all these things, but if you add up all these numbers, there is a substantial chunk in Maharashtra which do not align with any one of these things. So essentially, this is where
one question, sir. One question. Sorry. One question I should have asked you before. Maharashtra Navnirman Sena is the other Thackeray, Raj Thackeray. Who's VBA? So
it's Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi or something. I forget the exact name. It's like the BSP, like the one from Ambedkar's grandson, right? Is that type of a party, right? So you see the MNS, Maharashtra. This is another
Navnirman Sena. Yeah.
Navnirman Sena.
Yeah.
It dropped by about 3%, but right. it pulled some from the NCP, Shiv Sena, all of them. They have their own ways of forming the kingdom. When say NCP came into existence, they didn't actually have to break Congress. In fact, they did reduce it by some number, but he came, and because you're forming a new kingdom, you're going to recruit a lot of people. New excitement. He brought in all the independents. So all the people are scattered, he brought them under one roof. Same with Maharashtra, MNS came in, it basically sequestered few of these places, and then eventually MNS is gone. So currently it has about 2% or something. right? So this is how you start creating rifts. So what happened is, if as a BJP, think more practically and say the Shiv Sena has a lot of people who are indeed aligned with the civilizational ethos. Maharashtra is filled with that. Remember, it is a state of all heroes. And when everybody is a hero, nobody is. So how do we get them under one roof? So Shiv Sena, the high fidelity, you simply have to break them. Somebody is going to get up and say that this leader is not aligning with the civilizational ethos anymore. And you have the problem in NCP and Shiv Sena. When they actually join hands with, say, Congress party and everybody else, which is an expediency because they want to stay in power, right? BJP is like, imagine like the 𝗖𝙁𝙁 𝗖𝙁𝙁 Maharaj, right? Whose idea was basically 𝗤𝙧𝙤𝙪 𝙁𝙁. I mean, he was crowned the king, but that his vision is much, much bigger than that, right? Same with the Vijayanagar Empire. BJP has something like that. The party and the way things run is bigger than the leader himself. So how do we get them? There are a lot of people inside Shiv Sena and NCP who actually are very, very patriotic and they're aligned. You break them, you get them, and eventually you merge them. That is the only way to grow. And at some point, when these parties don't stay in power for long enough, they run out of money.
So I think the takeaway, I think maybe I'm stealing your thunder, and you can tell me I did. The takeaway is the importance of Ajit Pawar in this equation. It is screaming at us here.
Yes. Ajit Pawar, Eknath Shinde. See, all these people, there are a lot of people in NCP and Shiv Sena who are indeed very patriotic. They are pro-civilization, except they are under a different king. So we have to build some sort of a descent, and somebody has to pull them out. And so that new alliance is formed, and then they will have a high fidelity again to this new group. This is how you have to break this. Unless you break these kingdoms, no progress can be made. And when these are broken, of course, there will be people who are going to get upset. And I'm sure somebody is going to scream and say that, oh, Shiv Sena is not going to forgive anyone and all those things. It doesn't matter. They can do whatever screaming. At the bottom line is basically you break that alliance. And one term, they're going to yell and scream. I think in 2024 election, what will likely happen is BJP is not going to, as you look at these percentages, the big jumps are all because of this kind of getting the chunk on their side. You'll see that in Maharashtra, because there is a substantial group who are actually pro-Hindu, you simply need to change their king and get them to our side. So Shiv Senics, if a large chunk of them, you get them to the BJP side in an ideal way, they are very, very patriotic. They are pro-Hindu, pro-dharmic, and they are into the civilizational ethos. They have all the qualities, but they have a different king. So the idea is to get that chunk. And every time they succeeded in getting a big chunk to their side, you'll see a big jump for the BJP. But it is stagnant after that. It is stagnant. Look at these numbers. It is stagnant. And we can just keep this stagnancy forever. That is not how it works. So Shiv Sena has to be broken. Somebody has to get up from within and convince them and say that, come back and join the main idea of the whole Bharat. Not your little kingdom. This kingdom is not going to be helpful. This is like what Bharat was centuries ago, when we had very patriotic kingdoms, but none of them really could coalesce. Right? So what will happen in 2024? In 2024, BJP doesn't have to do much. It really shouldn't. It should be focusing not on just forming a government, gain the person. It's none of that. It should make sure that this Shiv Sena and NCP are substantially broken, and we're going to keep it that way, and we're going to recruit all the patriotic people, all the people with the civilizational ethos from these groups who want to leave their king. We have to come and consolidate them. That's what they'll do in 2024. Will they be humongous gains? Probably not. These percentages don't change that big, right? Will the seats change? Yes, a few percentage can change the seats. And then people will come up and say how big a victory or a smaller victory or completely devastated. They'll come up with all the stories. But in reality, this percentage is the real following on the ground. In 2024, these percentages will not see any substantial changes. There'll be few percentages points here and there. But the key is not about this percentage. The key is about making sure these two kingdoms are dissolved, at least one at a time. And Congress, as usual, holds on to its same number. Nothing much has changed. It's basically declining from here, and now it's 16%. Anyone who talks to Congress, don't get excited about the seats, and we can sit and convince them that they're actually completely gone. They're wiped out. This is as best as that can go. Essentially, the donkey can run only so fast. At some point, if it's not a horse, this is the limit that they have hit. So I would say somebody like Fadnavis and others who are very brilliant, they're not looking at 2024, they're looking at 2029, and at some point where BJP can actually form the government and keep it that way. So that is the eventual goal, and I think they will accomplish that.
I just wanted to request all our viewers to like this video. We still have 3 more states to look at, and we're going to do that now. And may I request all of you to please like this video and watch it till the end, because each state tells a different story. That's why I said reading between the numbers. Over to you, sir.
So in state for Maharashtra, 2024 elections are coming up. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are again going to blame BJP that they lost, they didn't gain much percentage and things have shifted, but don't worry about that. Somebody like Fadnavis is a visionary. I think he sees 2 steps forward. In 2029 is going to be BJP and BJP forever. But right now, the focus need to be in 2024 is about containing these 2 little kingdoms, the Shiv Sena and NCP, and that's what they need to focus on, and that is a fact. It's because otherwise this is status quo. This will run for the next 20 years. Nothing is going to change. And like I said, Maharashtra is filled with patriots. When they're patriotic, why stick with the local, these kings who are more interested in keeping their kingdom? They should be having a bigger vision. And they have to get somebody out from there. Like 𝗒𝙧𝙤𝙪 and many other people are ready to align with the bigger vision at some point. So they have to come out. And eventually this has to be brought out. And this these 2 parties need to be broken. I think that's what they'll focus on. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's about Maharashtra. Now we go to Andhra Pradesh. I don't have so many good things to say about Andhra Pradesh. I'm also from Andhra Pradesh, so I hope it's okay for me to say this. So, 𝙦చేసి చెప్పింది అర్థం చేసుకోండి. So this is there are quite a few. It's a different problem. Like every state is different. Andhra Pradesh has some very specific problems. Here are some state facts, right? This ranks the lowest in literacy in the entire country. This is National Statistical Office. As I already told you where I got the statistics from. They're all authentic from the government sources. It has the lowest literacy in the entire country. The literacy of others is, the next is actually Arunachal Pradesh, Rajasthan, Bihar, Telangana, and UP. So while Telangana and Andhra Pradesh are together, it was still somewhere at the bottom, but it was slightly ahead of Bihar and sometimes ahead of Rajasthan. But again, Bihar broke into Jharkhand and Bihar, and therefore they moved up the rank by a little bit. But eventually Jharkhand surpassed. Then Bihar surpassed. Telangana is sitting right there, the 3rd or 4th from the bottom. Everything surpassed. This is the lowest literate state in the entire country. This is the state which had the 3rd longest Congress rule after Assam and Rajasthan. This had the 3rd longest Congress rule in the whole country. This is the only state that actually has districts named after party leaders. You have districts which have historical significance. People have names from historical significance. They actually have a district called NTR. They have a district called YSR. This is sycophancy par excellence. This is the only state which is now part of Telangana which has the capital's airport named after Nehru family. People have their own patriotic, like you have, whether it's a Patel or Subhash Chandra Bose or Chhatrapati Shivaji, every state has one. This state actually has Rajiv Gandhi International Airport. The only state to have named after a Gandhi family. The only state which actually has the districts named after its leaders. The only state to give Bethlehem subsidy. Hajj subsidy, we know, the first state to give a Bethlehem subsidy to the Christians. Andhra Pradesh is one. Now, Tamil Nadu is trying to follow, and maybe a few other states will do in the future. I don't know, but this is the state that actually gave Bethlehem subsidy back in 2008. This was done by the YSR, Congress government. The only state to have built a Christian Bhavan. This is by Chandrababu Naidu, TDP 2015. Now, Telangana is also trying to do that. But this is the only state for now to build a separate Christian Bhavan with state funds, state land, and give it to them. This is a state that has the highest voter turnout in 2014 of any major state. Maybe a couple of little states do better, like 𝗤𝙧𝙤𝘀𝘀, that's a different thing. But of all the major states, the bigger states, this has the highest voter turnout. Andhra Pradesh has a serious problem that they have to acknowledge and move forward. Now, Andhra Pradesh was ruled by 43 years by Congress, 21.5 years by TDP, 5 years by 𝗤𝗖𝙗𝑐𝗞. There's a president's rule for 1.5 years. With 21 years of TDP rule and 43 years of Congress rule, this is the lowest literate state, the most illiterates. And it has the highest sycophancy with naming as NTR, YSR, with the Bethlehem subsidies and Christian Bhavans. This has a serious problem that they need to acknowledge. Now, the state political facts. This is one of the two BJP state, one of the two seats that BJP has won in 1984. It's pretty interesting that the BJP won only 2 seats in the whole country in 84. One of them actually comes from this state, which is now in Telangana. It is Hanamkonda. The other one is in Gujarat, right? This actually, BJP, one of the seats, the 2 seats, it came from Andhra Pradesh. And I don't know what happened after. Then Chandrababu Naidu's party, he's 74 years old. He is pretty much old, and he will, by next elections, he will not be relevant. His son Lokesh is ineffective, and everybody knows this. So the hope, now there's the silver lining. I told the state facts. Something is terrible that they need to know and acknowledge it. All right, the facts don't change. Then Chandrababu Naidu, he's 74 years. Lokesh, we know, is ineffective, which means TDP has a potential to break into pieces because he cannot keep it together. So this is the time. The silver lining is that, yes, BJP will break into pieces. Jagan Mohan Reddy actually has the 𝗤𝗖𝙗𝘗 head, which was formed in 2011. He has several CBI cases against him. And of course, there are several other threats too to him from Congress and other parties, I would believe, because they are the ones who put him behind the bars in the first place. And also, many of his own family members don't support him. So 𝗤𝗖𝙗𝘗 really does not have a bright future. So there is a hope in Andhra Pradesh wherein people may have to choose something other than these two parties. Now, Pawan Kalyan was the alliance. This was JSP was formed in 2014. But in 2019, he had an alliance with CPI, which is like a polar opposite of BJP. So yes, Pawan Kalyan, he's giving the right decibels. People can hear that. But again, we just don't know. All that I'm saying is be cautious, because basically he can form an alliance with the Communist Party and an alliance with BJP. Something to think about. But that is a history we need to keep in mind. In 2019, he had an alliance with CPI. Chiranjeevi, his brother, formed a party in 2008, Praja Rajyam Party. He sold that to Congress in 2011. Now, the state got bifurcated to Andhra Pradesh and Telangana in 2014. Now, in 2024 elections, you see that the BJP, it got in the state, it got about 3%, but for the Lok Sabha, it got 11%. Now, people will say that without that alliance, BJP would get absolutely nothing. That is not entirely true. The fact that it got 11% in the Lok Sabha is basically people are okay voting for the BJP. But remember, I said the high fidelity to their party. They have a very high fidelity to TDP and 𝗤𝗖𝙗𝑐𝗞. They stick really to that those parties. But there is a substantial portion with a good leader of the 5 steps that I mentioned. With a good leader, I see that there are few leaders, and they do have like Shobhayatras and all of that. A lot of people do collect. It is not able to translate that into votes. So we don't see the percentage change. But there is a lot of ground support, and this reflects that. And TDP is not a novice. Chandrababu Naidu Garu is a very seasoned politician, and therefore he knows what to do. It's not like he got into a panic. He formed none of those things happened. They don't get into panics, because especially not people like Chandrababu Naidu, who is a very, very senior politician, and absolutely he knows what politics is. If there's anybody in the country, he knows what it is. So This alliance, basically, he knew that if you look at these numbers, there is no way this kind of a margin is even possible without these kind of alliances. And that's why the alliance was formed. Otherwise, YSR would have come to power. Right? Now, the good news about Andhra Pradesh, I think, is because TDP will break up at some point, Lokesh cannot hold it. And that will probably grab all the Muslim and Christian votes. There are many other things that I could say about Andhra Pradesh on why they actually have this Christian Bhavan, Bethlehem subsidy. It doesn't matter, it's TDP, everybody is pro-Christian there. And why these things have happened, there are specific reasons, but that is for some other day, those analysis. But highest voter turnout, this we have to keep in mind. Remember, I said the top high polling percentages of the states, BJP was never in the government. Whether this is a statistical anomaly, there was a fraud in it, or whatever it is, people can make their own conclusions. But the highest polling percent states, BJP never formed a government. And it is not like when BJP forms a government, the enthusiasm goes away for voting. It's perhaps more to do with BJP maintaining a better law and order, and things run more smoothly. So this is something that needs to be looked into, and why Andhra Pradesh consistently has such incredible high voting percentage. All right, so I'll just move without any further details on this. I'll move to the next state. The state as is Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu will go to elections next year. So some of the facts, the state facts about Tamil Nadu is the Ranganatha Swami temple in Srirangam. It is the oldest and the largest temple in Bharat. All right. Tamil is again one of the oldest languages. Tamil, the language, has one of the least number of alphabets. And the southernmost tip point in Bharat, Kanyakumari, is in Tamil Nadu, and is the only state when the Dravidian idea the Britishers came up with, and they said somehow wanted to divide the north versus the south, the Dravidian, Aryan, and whatever fake stories that they had, and they were excellent at it. And of course, some lunatics still buy those things, but those theories are going to remain, because the Western theories will always be there. Just like we have anti-nationalists, they'll always come up with some new theories under the garb of science. Now, the only state to embrace this entire Dravidian theory is actually Tamil Nadu. Whether it is Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, or even Maharashtra, none of them actually adopted this Dravidian idea. Only the Tamil Nadu adopted that. And it has the longest rule in the country by people from film industry. 50 years is ruled. Almost everybody that you name over there, practically all of them are from the film industry. So it's interesting on how that plays an influence in Tamil Nadu. Now, we have to remember that Tamil Nadu is one place where the culture is actually preserved in its pristine condition. So the problem with Tamil Nadu is not so much about they don't like Hinduism or any of those things. In fact, Tamil Nadu is where you have one of the, like I mentioned, the oldest and largest temple. It has the most pristine form. And some of all the cultural aspects of it, from Bharatnatyam to many of the arts and forms, are actually very well preserved. And if you want to see the real true sense of our dharmic culture, this is one place which is fairly untouched compared to the rest of the country. So that is not their problem. Then what is their problem? Again, remember the kings. You had the AIDMK, DMK, and there are so many people who are very patriotic and truly dharmic. But they would, what is funny about this state is that all of them would still go and vote for, say, DMK, even if he comes and says that, the whole Hinduism is basically like a COVID and AIDS, and you're basically horrible people, and the people will just go and vote. That is the fidelity with the king that I mentioned in the beginning. The fidelity is such that even if the king actually tells them that you are basically idiots and you're useless people, they will still go and vote for it. This is what they need to break in this area. State political facts is this is the first state to comprehensively oust Congress in 1967. No other state has actually done it. It's completely out, and it never formed a government. And 1967 is when they did it. So people who say that they don't have a vision and national outlook and all the stories that have today, think about it. While those states are still voting for Congress, Tamil Nadu actually got rid of Congress. This is the first state to do so. The DMK party, the Stalin is currently 71 years old. Yes, it will be handed down to his son, but clearly this is slowly falling apart because his son doesn't seem to have the kind of the hold that his dad and the grandfather had it. So DMK is actually declining, and as you see by the numbers over here, eventually it will fall apart. That is where we already have a great leader there, 𝗼𝗂𝘗𝘁 from BJP. If they play their game well, they do this poll math well, I think by next election, if they really sit down and understand how this poll math works for each constituency and see what the tasks need to be in each area, BJP can be in the opposition by next election, which is next year. And they will likely form a government by the next term. That is up to the point of how good they are in doing this math, right? It's like you cannot take a calculator in an era that uses computers. If somebody does a better math and better optimization and better things, otherwise BJP need to gain an enormous number of percentage to get a small number of seats, which they have demonstrated in 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Like in UP, they can have 11% margin but get less number of seats. So, but Tamil Nadu has a good hope for that. Then you have AIDMK, the leader is again 70 years old. These are all phasing out and there is nobody else in sight. So it's kind of like in Andhra Pradesh, in Tamil Nadu too, these parties are slowly phasing out, and you can see that they are slowly disintegrating into many other parties that are coming up, like 𝗣𝗂𝘂𝘁, which represents Dalits, Indian Union Muslim League. This is the remnant of the Muslim League of Muhammad Ali Jinnah. When he left, technically the Muslim League was dissolved, and they just regrouped into IUML, Indian Union Muslim League. So it's basically Muhammad Ali Jinnah's party as the origin. So they represent the Muslims in Tamil Nadu. MDMK is a split from DMK, and you have the communist parties. So all of them grab a certain percentage. There is a good future now that we have 𝗼𝗂𝘗𝘗𝘁 as a good leader. If we understand the 5 steps, we already got the first step. We got great leaders. We got excellent rallies with very large crowds, translating that to the votes. That is needed, and the seats. Now, translating it towards, this is where this kind of a poll math and all of this, that will come up right after translating to the votes, then next to the seats. BJP has a potential to be in the opposition. But at the moment, I feel, just my personal opinion is, they aren't just as organized. So I don't see it, but who knows? They still have little over a year. So in 1 year, things can be straightened out, but somebody has to sit down and do these math and understand what is happening. You see the assembly election, 37%. You see Lok Sabha, it really dropped dramatically. AIDMK dropped dramatically. BJP actually gained something in Lok Sabha. I know people say it got 0 seats, and none of that actually matters. The percentage matters. Remember step 3? This is the number of followers they have, the people who like them. The Congress, it gained some, but it's not going to form the government. I'm pretty sure this is the first state to throw them out. This temporary rise. All of them, you see, they started gaining. All these groups. So basically, DMK and MDMK are going to, AIDMK are going to split. They are going to just dissolve very slowly. When these dissolve, 𝗼𝗂𝘗𝘗𝘁 will be able to capture them if he gets his act right and understand the exact math on which group is doing what in each constituency. And if someone does this kind of an analysis, we'll have BJP. By next term, we'll have BJP. This term, they can potentially sit in the opposition, but that requires them to do a very precise math. First, do the data analysis, and they will make it. Now, in Tamil Nadu, they have 17 years of Congress government, one of the lowest, in fact.
Question for you. Aam Aadmi Party, within 5 years or within 10 years, they could capture power in Punjab. Why can't BJP do the same thing in Tamil Nadu?
Yes, it's because, for BJP, they have a civilizational vision. So when they have this kind of a vision and a very specific ideas on this is what needs to be, then it is very difficult to make progress because everybody has to align with the civilizational ethos. For Aam Aadmi Party, if you look at it, they really don't have any specific vision. It's basically a fluff talk. I'm going to do very great for you. If he says like, do you want electricity? Given, take it. You want food? Given, it's free. Do you want this? You can take it. See, when you form a group like that, it is basically fishing. It's collecting everybody. So he can promise everything to everybody. The problem with that is you cannot keep fooling everyone forever. But you can fool them pretty effectively, very in a short period. So yes, they can very quickly form the government because they really don't have any ideas or any ideology or any vision. So what is Aam Aadmi Party's vision and ideology? Absolutely nothing. It's simply, I mean, he'll say he can, I mean, Congress government has used Garibi Hatao for a long time. He can also say corruption Hatao. But it doesn't matter whether he really removes or not. So because people who do not have any vision, his only vision is simply to keep himself in power and grab everybody else. So that is going to be very effective. For someone who has a vision and an idea, the work is going to be difficult. But for him, it's captured everything else. When you have an idea of captured everything else, he will yield to anything. He can form a government in Punjab because if somebody says there is a drug addiction and Punjab is actually dying with drug addiction and alcohol. Now, does Aam Aadmi give a damn about it? It doesn't. You say, you want to drink, go ahead and drink. You want to do this, go ahead and do it. But he will make all the right noise in public, but he will not change anything. Because he's okay with the criminals, he's okay with the crooks, he's okay with anti-nationals, he's okay with the outsiders, he's okay with everybody. All that he's saying is, I will let everybody have a field day if I come to power. So that is like a magnet that attracts all the crooks of the country. I'm sorry to say this for all the Aam Aadmi supporters, but that is a fact. If you don't like it, sorry, that is a fact. He's basically a crook who has captured everybody in the country.
Mohanji, I have had interactions with some of these Aam Aadmi Party people. They're educated, brainwashed. That's all I can say.
Yes, because he has captured everybody. He basically has sold a romantic idea, which the educated people, the so-called, I would say highly literate people, not educated, but what they do is they buy to this romantic idea and really miss out on the basic facts. Like, for example, you see, when I mentioned about Andhra Pradesh, right? For the entire history, now Andhra Pradesh stands at being the lowest literate state, but nothing has changed. They still worship the TDP and the Congress just exactly the same way. They haven't left their king. No, that is a problem. Does it mean that Andhra Pradesh has no educated people? Are everybody fools? No, they're not. But it's just how they adore this, like a worshipping them. Now, Aam Aadmi also has people like that who actually have very good degrees, who can actually have a good analytical thinking. But at the same time, once it comes to their party, they think like little children. All the facts go away. So Aam Aadmi, all that he has to do is sell a romantic idea and let all the garbage collectors do whatever they want to do. So otherwise, do you think in Punjab nobody knows that they have a serious issue with alcohol and drugs? That the state is dying and nobody is trying to do anything about it. In fact, even Rahul Gandhi said it's dying. So that must be serious, right? So I'm saying Aam Aadmi is that kind of a trash collecting party. So yes, everybody will come under it. And if somebody is really that big a fan of Aam Aadmi, I'm really sorry. I'm actually sorry for you. All right. So let's go after the Tamil Nadu. We'll go to the next state. The state analysis, West Bengal. So this is a very critical state. We see a lot of issues happening in Bangladesh. Now, if you look at West Bengal, this state, some political facts you need to understand. Remember, every state has their own unique issues. Maharashtra, we saw, is a state of hyper-patriots and everybody is patriotic. And therefore, all the heroes, there is no hero. But in Andhra Pradesh, it is absolute worship of those parties. Irrespective of, it's like a Pied Piper, they can take them and jump off the cliff and they will just do it. This is the lowest literate state and that is how they continue to be. In Tamil Nadu, it's all about film industry really has a very strong influence. Even today, Rajnikant, Kamal Hassan, everybody, you see the film industry has played a significant role in the entire chain of political. There's the longest rule by the film people of film industry. West Bengal, interesting fact is, it somehow never actually flips. They are very, very consistent in how they have their rule. So they had Congress rule for almost 27 years since from 1977 with very minor breaks. Then they had a Communist Party rule from 1977 to 2011, 34 years with almost no breaks, with practically no breaks. And then we have Trinamool Congress for 13 years with no breaks. So this is not a state which actually flip-flops between the groups. This actually is very consistent. Once they shift, and that's how they are. So the percentages don't change that much in this state. So once they go on one side, they are there pretty much. So their fidelity is one of the highest in this state. Now, they hold the world title, the longest democratically elected communist government. They are the longest uninterrupted elected communist rule in the whole world. All others are dictators. But anywhere you have a democracy and you have a communist parties, they are the longest elected government and uninterrupted too. And about 70% of all the Bengalis, a little more than that, have converted to Islam. The state is split between Bangladesh and West Bengal, but all of the Bengalis put together, over 70% are converted to Islam. You have a similar thing with the Punjab as well. A big chunk of the Punjab is given to Pakistan. The rest of the Punjabis is in Bharat's Punjab. Sindh is completely lost. But in Bengalis, when people talk about Bengali language and Bengali, the ethnic group, 70% are converted. The remaining ones, substantial portion, live in Bharat. A small portion, actually it was a substantial portion living in Bangladesh, but their population is gradually shrinking. Right? Now, the interesting thing here is, it is not something that BJP does not realize. We have seen it before that in assembly election. You remember the 5 steps, in the vote percentages. From 2%, it went to 4%, 10%, 2021, it has 38%. Same in the Lok Sabha, it went from 6, 17, 40, it maintained that. BJP is a formidable force there. You only have 2 parties right now. And remember the Congress rule, 27 years, Communist 34, basically it's continuous change. TMC will eventually fall. Most likely by the next elections, it'll fall. And BJP will form the government. Now, TMC also, there is another thing you have to notice very carefully. People say that TMC is favoring Muslims more and more and more and more, party karyakartas, and everywhere you see Muslims. But why is that happening? It is because most of the Hindus are leaving TMC. In fact, that is how the BJP, many of them are joining in droves. They're joining BJP. As more and more people join BJP, not many Hindus are willing to join TMC. So she is hiring people from the illegal immigrants and other Muslims. That is why you see the percentage of Muslims increasing in TMC and she favoring more and more Muslims. That is the only way she can survive. In fact, I see that as it's not a good sign for the TMC party itself. So eventually that will collapse. I think by next term, it's pretty much ready to collapse. Said that, what BJP did was, if you look carefully, the top neck portion, that is the chicken's neck, the Siliguri corridor, right? If you look at the assembly and Lok Sabha, this entire area is held by BJP. So I know it's West Bengal it's a very critical state because that has this chicken's neck part that is very critical in that area, with the Bangladesh, bordering Bangladesh, and is very close to the China border. I think BJP is well aware of it. As you can see, this is the area that it always held, and it is going to hold on to it until eventually, I think by the next election, BJP will take over, and TMC is in the last leg, and you will see that the fidelity in West Bengal is very, very high. Once a party comes in, either the fidelity is high or the way the ecosystem works there is that the party that comes to power grabs the ecosystem, right? And it also has one of the highest voting percent consistently. Personally, in my opinion, that is a statistical anomaly, and I don't think it is genuine, but it's for the viewers to sit back and think why it is so. But this is a serious case in the top 6 states, something people will have to think, and they have to invest and understand why these states have an exorbitant amount of voting. From my understanding, there is a lot of fraud, but I'll leave it to the viewers to go and do the research on that. So I think by next term, you'll see this continuity will be broken, and BJP is already in a formidable position with 40%, and they will actually form the government, and that will be the end of TMC. Normally, in the state has a history of the other parties never returning back to power. It's because of high fidelity or the ecosystem that favors it that way. All right, we move to the next one.
Bye.